In this video, I will show you all my broken cars after crash tests. For 7 years of my channel, all these models I keep on a separate shelf, and it is no longer enough. It is all filled with these broken cars. All these are cars I'll show you in detail now. What remains of them, and in what condition they were preserved. I laid out all the models on the table, and he was barely enough to fit them all. But how many fallen parts remained from all these machines, wheels, glass, body elements, radiator grills, and other details? As if on the disassembly of cars. Take everything that has survived. Try to guess how many models there are here. Write the number in the comments now, and then let's see which of you guessed or was close to the right quantity, and how many exactly broken models you will find out at the end of this video. But this is not directly all broken cars. Some models are simply not preserved, or they were not at all able to somehow be stored. When I did an imitation of the explosion, after that, there was practically nothing left of the model. It looks like a real landfill of broken cars, only in the master, it turns out like a diorama. Usually they collect a collection of beautiful whole models. And in my case, this is a collection of broken cars. First, let's start with the oldest models and the video will finish the most new and last ones that I sculpted. This BMW of Need for Speed is already 7 years old, how I blinded her and she remained over. Let it be broken, but nevertheless, it is broken very much. There are no whole elements left. White plasticine faded and became somehow milk over the years. Then, for modeling, I used sculptural and children's colored plasticine. And now I am mainly using NSP hard. These are I used to sculpt simple engines without fine details. Not like now, where I highlight almost everything. And here is such a modest bottom, and a calm is an example of how I do the bottom now. That's how the model has been preserved. There are no several details and seats in the cabin. I shot them and put them in some other car. The next broken car is Dodge Charger, and it is immediately clear that he is not typically defeated. It was as if a tank drove along it. In fact, he melted from the heat under the sun. Here's what will happen to the plasticine machine if it is set aside over the summer sun. The machine shines as if doused with oil or something fat. But in fact, this is the wax flowing out of plasticine and it creates such an effect. The front part is falling apart. The model became very fragile due to the fact that the wax leaked and the plasticine became stronger but even more fragile. He has lost his elasticity, does not stretch so well, he breaks and cracks. This is very clearly visible on the rear wheels. Lamborghini Huracan model has practically not changed in any way since the crash of the dough. A plasticine piano dropped on it. She is just as flat and remained. With the exception of the wheels, I also shot them for some other plasticine model. The next model is Chevrolet Camaro. It was very flattened on both sides. It also melted under the sun, and after that, when the plasticine was warm and soft, I broke it. It crashed very much into the front and back of the car, and due to this, such damage turned out. I want to say this pile of scrap metal, but this is plasticine. Once it was a model of Audi RS6, now you can't say that. The model, I made up almost all of the spare parts, took a seat from it, and much more. All that remains by car is the front and back. Dodge Challenger is also completely broken after crash dough with pencils. There is no salon. Here I also took some details. There are no doors either. The wheel is stuck from below from the other car. The remaining only the front and back of the car. The Russian truck ZIL 130. Here the model is very poorly preserved. Everything is stuck since another car lay on top and gradually crushed this truck from above. The back is completely crushed with the cabin and there are no wheels. The model is very poorly preserved. Even after the crash of the dough, she looked better than now. Tesla Model X. Also completely broken, no whole elements. The car is also crushed from above, and in this state, she survived until today. BMW M4, which I just crumpled in my hands like a piece of dough. I showed it that a plasticine model can just take it like that and easily crush with your hands. Bugatti Chiron, also a car after crash of the dough, and again with a sagging roof, it also lay a car on top of it, as on many such models. I did not take anything from it, no details. In this state, the model has been preserved. And it was the Russian Lada Vesta, which I made from sculptural plasticine and stuck with the upper thin layer brown-colored plasticine. There are no whole elements left, the machine is completely destroyed. Police Ford Crown Victoria. Then, as we see the salon in place, even there is a laptop there. But the roofs of doors and wheels are not like an engine. I somehow also took it for some other model. Try to guess what kind of model it was. On it, I drove a bicycle and crushed it so hard that it turned into a cake. It was once Porsche Ken. Further, not the whole car has been preserved, and some of its details. This is a Russian car called Niva. Only the front part, the hood and the back with the roof remained from her. It was once very cool. Mercedes Glenwagen 6x6. He used it again and used the wheels and the seniority of Tesla Cybertruck. Only the body without the roofs of seats and doors remained from the car, they were not preserved. And before the destruction, the car looked like this. And here is a Cybertruck. So he crashed after all clashes. All beaten. There are no glasses. This was a very simple and fast model in modeling, due to their direct and simple forms of the body. And these are parts from the Russian van, Gazelle Next. She was a very hard crash test with her, that after him little is left. Therefore, little has been preserved from the car. By the way, a video with this machine is the second most popular video on my channel. It only burns the legend of the crash of tests. With the Police Ford Crown Victoria, this is one of the two BMW M5. The video for the video at once is to identical cars, to break them in different ways and compare the damage. And as it turned out, the idea paid off. The video collected a lot of views. Toyota Mark II, which I made to crash it into a road pole created for a special crash test where I launched the car sideways and not only straight into a road pole. Toyota Supra, from which all the parts fall off. At least it already has more or less intact parts of the body that are not completely broken. It is better preserved than other cars. And at the end of the video, I dropped a heavy stone on this car, which turned it into such severe destruction. It was a Chevrolet Chevy SS model, where I threw the car off a steep mountain slope, where it flipped over many times. This is a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 9. It was a very beautiful model, which I made just to crush with my own hands and collect a lot of views. And this is what was left of it after that. A Mercedes 190E. Everything is very weak on it. It was preserved in this condition. It was smashed after another crash test. Russian SUV Niva Travel, which I crushed with a large plasticine tank. You can watch all the full videos in the description by clicking on the playlist. Dominic Toretto's Dodge Charger was brutally smashed in another crash test. Most of the car was badly smashed and some parts were lost. The only thing I left was the engine, since it survived and it turned out well to mold it from plasticine. Nissan Skyline GTR 34, the most intact model of all. I did not completely smash it, because it was to pity for this model, on which I spent a lot of time to mold it from plasticine. At least something remained intact. Here is a Mazda RX7, which is completely falling apart in my hands. It was a good model and the crash test turned out interesting. Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 10, a very beautiful model turned out. Especially beautiful rich color. I painted it with an airbrush red varnish. It has large and total damage, but there are whole body elements. Here is a model of Nissan Silvia S13. It turned out to be a pretty beautiful model, and this is how it survived the crash test. And now I will show you the cars that I managed to make and crash after 2024. Because this video, I recorded it then, and since then I have made quite a few plasticine cars. And at the moment I have already shown you 30 cars. But this is not the end. Subaru Impreza model received multiple blows to the body and received such damage. I crushed this car with my hands. It was a Peugeot 406 model. And this car is a copy of the car from the first trailer of GTA 6 where Jason and Lucia drive away in it after the robbery. Plymouth Roadrunner. I also made it so I could crush the car with my hands. Crash test Lamborghini Gallardo. This is what is left of the car. It is very well preserved. This is how I crashed a Russian van very badly, called Gazelle Next. It crashed very epically. I advise you to watch the crash test. And the newest and latest model, which I crashed, it is the legendary Toyota Supra from the movie Fast and Furious. That's how I crashed it and kept it like that. These were all the broken models that survived after the crash tests. In total, I showed you 37 broken cars, which survived. There were more crash tests themselves and accordingly broken cars too. But not all the cars survived. And all these crash test videos you can watch in the playlist at the link in the description. I will continue to collect them after the crash tests, so that in a few years I can also shoot the same video, and remember what cars I sculpted and how many of them I destroyed. I hope this video was interesting for you, and the next model from plasticine I will make, the legendary BMW M3 GTR from Need for Speed Most Wanted. So subscribe to the channel. Click on all notifications, so as not to miss the release of a new video about BMW from Need for Speed. Thank you for watching this video. Bye everyone.